What's goody, gang? I'm back with the homie Nick. I'm doing a long form now. The other day I did 6 shorts, and my plan was to just drop the shorts because I only had a little small gap to do the videos, so I did shorts. And my plan was just to run through those and then do a long form, but we actually found some time. So me and my wife just reacted to some comedy, and now I'm moving on to the homie Nick. This is his latest video. Now, if I'm not mistaken, y'all, and correct me if I'm wrong, on Instagram, Nick, 2 days ago, he posted this in his story, and I swear he said this is his favorite story thus far. I might be tripping. Maybe he posted something else, but I could have sworn it was the latest video he did. All right, so here we go. Americans Samurai, or... Okay, American Samurai. All right. I was about to say Americas, but I guess they're saying Americans like us. Samurai, the 44. God, I am fucking up today. The 442nd Infantry. Damn, I didn't know the numbers went up that high. Most decorated unit of World War II. I'm gonna read that again, y'all. Americans Samurai, the 442nd Infantry, most decorated unit of World War II. Let's rock. Teach me something, Nick. Let's go.
This is my 3rd attempt in the last year at making this video, but
Damn.
It's one of those ones that you have to get right.
Okay, shit.
Today we're talking...
Motherfucker look serious. It look serious as hell. Okay, let's go. Let me put on my serious face for this one. Shit, let's go.
Video, but it's one of those ones that you have to get right. Today we're talking about America's Samurai, the Nisei, the 2nd generation Japanese Americans that comprise the 442nd Infantry Regiment and the 100th Infantry Battalion, aka the Purple Heart Battalion. Ladies and gentlemen, in World War II, America did what is, in my opinion, one of the most disgusting things that the American government has ever done. They signed an executive order suspending all of the constitutional rights of Japanese Americans and then forced over 120,000 American citizens into an internment camp for the duration of World War II for no other reason than they had Japanese ancestry. Despite that, the sons of these Japanese Americans not only volunteered to fight for America and...
It's crazy. He says that it's sounding, and again, y'all, I'm not no politician. I'm just regurgitating what I'm seeing. It's sounding a little Trumpish, like how Trump is telling, hey, if your parents were here illegally, we don't care if you were here, bro. You gotta go. You ain't, we don't care. We don't give a shit. Yeah, to hell with everything we said was cool. Y'all can't do that. So let me know if I'm tripping, but it's kind of sounding like that. Like, you got to go back just because your parents... Because, sorry. Even though you're not actually from there, you're from the States. I don't know. It just sounds familiar. Let me know if I'm tripping.
Ancestry. Despite that, the sons of these Japanese Americans not only volunteered to fight for America in World War II, they demanded and petitioned for the opportunity to do so. And not only did they fight, they became one of the most effective and decorated combat units in American history. And we're gonna get into it right after a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Sundays. It's food for dogs. Isn't that right, Mushu? Oh, video's brought to you by Sundays. It's food for dogs. Isn't that right, Mushu? All right. Okay. Calm down. Anyways, Sundays for Dogs is dog food that's made with a bunch of human ingredients like, actual meat and not, ground up cartilage and pig dicks. The food actually looks different. Like, it actually looks like beef jerky. It doesn't smell like a bunch of dehydrated dog food. It's air dried. It's made here in America. Mushu loves it, and it's pretty much the only thing he'll eat now. Nope. It's like all the other fancy dog foods with none of the downsides, right? You don't have to open a can every time you go to feed your dog. You don't have to stick this shit inside your refrigerator, and you can get it as a subscription service, so it just keeps showing up to your house, because at least for me, every time I had dog food on my grocery shopping list, I would always forget, then I had to make a trip just for dog food. So it's nice to have it just show up at the house. So if you want to give Sundays a try, I'm gonna have a link and a discount code down below. Let's get back to the video.
Let's go. Set the tone.
All right, our story begins on December 7th, 1941, when the Imperial Japanese attack America at Pearl Harbor. Okay, everybody knows what the attack on Pearl Harbor is, but what almost nobody knows about is the Niihau incident that happened directly after the attack on Pearl Harbor that would change the course of American history. During the second wave of the attack at Pearl Harbor, America was able to get some of their fighter planes up in the air and begin fighting back. Some of these American fighter planes were obviously shooting at the Japanese fighter planes, and one of these Japanese Zeros ends up getting shot in its fuel tank and leaks out a bunch of its its fuel. The Imperial Japanese pilot Shugenori Nishikaichi does the only thing he can do in that situation. He makes an emergency landing on what he believes to be a small uninhabited Hawaiian island known as Niihau. However, he was incorrect. The island actually had 135 inhabitants, 133 of which were native Hawaiians, and then there was one Japanese couple, Yoshi and Irene Horata. Now, Niihau is like 140 miles away from Pearl Harbor, so the residents of the island had no idea that Japan was actually attacking America. So when he first made this emergency landing, everybody was happy to help this guy. They thought he was just, you know, a pilot from a friendly country that needed their help. Then within a couple of hours, word had reached Niihau that America was under attack by the Japanese, at which point the Hawaiians did the appropriate thing. They took him as their prisoner, took away his guns, locked him up, and they were going to hold him for the American government to come and get him.
All right, let me ask you this one time. What master do you serve?
What master do I serve? What am I supposed to say, Jesus?
But for whatever reason, Yoshi and Irene decided that they were sympathetic towards this Japanese pilot, so much so that they were actually going to help him break out of jail, arm him, and try to help him escape.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
This plan would ultimately be thwarted.
Is that dodgeball? That's dodgeball, ain't it? Great film. Let's go.
Escape.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
This plan would ultimately be thwarted by the Hawaiians, primarily a man by the name of Ben Kanahele, who was a World War I veteran and rancher. When Ben Kanahele went to stop Shugenori from escaping, Shugenori shot him 3 times, at which point Ben Kanahele proceeds to pick Shugenori up and throw him at a stone wall. His wife then bashes him in the head with the rock, while Ben pulls out his hunting knife and slits his throat. Which I cannot stress to you enough is the most Polynesian American shit I have ever heard in my entire life. Homie gets shot 3 times, then proceeds to pick up the armed gunman and throw him at a wall like he's the Incredible Hulk.
Yo!
After that, Yoshi, the Japanese man that was trying to help him escape, would also wind up dead, and his wife Irene would end up being incarcerated for the rest of World War II. So Ben Kanahele saves the day. Hooray, that's good. Bad news, this is a really, really bad look for pretty much all Japanese Americans, right? There was 2 Japanese Americans present, and they elected to side with the Imperial Japanese that were attacking America. And this winds up being...
Okay. All right, I just had to... I tried to take that in. I just had to take that in. Okay, come on.
Americans present, and they elected to side with the Imperial Japanese that were attacking America. And this winds up being one of the main catalysts and excuses for the American government discriminating against American citizens that had Japanese ancestry. By January 1942, the Hawaiian National Guard released all of its soldiers that had Japanese ancestry and basically just kicked them out of the army. Which is...
Wait, so dead ass for real. Like, because these 2 people felt bad, well... These 2 Japanese people felt bad for a Japanese pilot who was bombing America. They were helping him escape. The Polynesian guy saw it. Incredible Hulked him. Wife bashed his head in. And because of that, these are just 3 individuals. They took that situation and made this grand decision about Japanese. That's what I got from that. That's deep. That's deeper than deep dish hammers and bowls, y'all. Shit, just that one incident. They said if these people can do it, who's been living on this private island in total bliss amongst these people, these Americans, if they're willing to change, I'm pretty sure all of them will. Shit. Okay. I guess that's how that goes. I guess that's really how that goes. It's like, do you wait for the shit to happen again? No, it's like, fuck it. Nip it in the bud. We don't even need to take the chance. Okay.
American citizens that had Japanese ancestry. By January 1942, the Hawaiian National Guard released all of its soldiers that had Japanese ancestry and basically just kicked them out of the army. Which is kind of a big deal because at this point in time, like 40% of the Hawaiian population actually had Japanese ancestry. Then by February 19th, 1942, FDR would sign Executive Order 9066, which effectively suspended all of the constitutional rights of any Japanese American, ordered them to sell their homes, sell their businesses for a much lower value value than they were actually worth, and then they were supposed to report to an internment camp for the duration of World War II. With a single pen stroke, 120,000 American citizens lost all of their constitutional rights and went from being a full-fledged American to a prisoner like that. Now, like I already said, I think that is one of the most disgusting things the American government has ever done. However, I do have to get kind of sidetracked because I have a crazy conspiracy theory about this, and it's going to get weird, so bear with me.
I'm going to get real weird with it.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
get a little Danny DeVito with it, Nick. Come on. I love a good conspiracy theory. I need to hear what Nick's about to say. I'm building up the anticipation, y'all. I'm leaving Danny on the screen for y'all asses, okay? Let's go.
About this, and it's going to get weird, so bear with me.
I'm going to get real weird with it. Meanwhile, block the wind. I'm going to roast this bone.
Jesus Christ.
I think that this inspired Star Wars, and just hear me out. The Jedi and the Sith, you know, the guys with the lightsabers, are clearly inspired by samurai. You know, they have the robes, they have the same garb, they have swords, that's their primary weapon. They're just space samurai, that's all it is. You've got the Jedi, which are the good ones, and then you've got the Sith, which are the bad ones, similar to Japanese people. You've got the Imperial Japanese, which are the bad ones, and then you have the American Japanese, which are the good ones. But then Chancellor Palpatine comes along. He is the leader of the Republic, the president, so to speak. Also worth noting, he's an elderly guy that nobody ever sees standing up. He's always sitting down.
I'm too weak. Oh, don't kill me.
And he issues an order to get rid of all the Jedi. He gets rid of all the good guys, just like that. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Chubby Electron guy's reaching too far. He's lost his mind. Potentially, okay? But here's the linchpin in the entire argument, right? When Emperor Palpatine got rid of the Jedi, he got rid of the good guys. He executed Order 66. When FDR got rid of all the Japanese Americans, he signed Executive Order 9066. I mean, what the fuck are the odds, right?
They're on to me, dude. Those guys are sharp as nails up there. You can't put anything past them.
Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Anyways, 120,000 Japanese American citizens end up getting thrown in concentration camps inside of America. Shitty, awful, horrible, but it's what happened. In Hawaii, however, things went a little bit different because a significant portion of the Hawaiian population was Japanese, and they couldn't throw all of them in a concentration camp. Otherwise, it would crash the entire Hawaiian economy. So a lot of them got to kind of live borderline normal lives. So a lot of the Japanese Americans that were previously serving in the National Guard that got released from duty end up forming what they called the Varsity Victory Volunteers, and they petitioned the Hawaiian governor, and they were like, hey, look, I understand I have a Japanese ancestry, but I'm not Japanese. I'm an American. I understand you're not going to let me fight and have a gun, but I still want to help with this war effort any way I can because this is my home and I want to fight for it. And the Hawaiian governor ends up letting them form this volunteer group. And
Okay, so wait, fill me out here now. So it's just so crazy how the world worked to me. It's like, okay, the president signed the order for all of these people to go to this camp. But since one of their states or territories, whatever we calling it, because the territory could potentially collapse economically, they said, okay, y'all ain't got to come to the camps. Y'all can stay and live regular lives and work your jobs and keep our territory going. Y'all ain't got to come to the camps. That's crazy to me that like you could just decide like, yeah, fuck it. Yes, I signed the bill. Yes, I said y'all got to go to the camps, but no, they don't. Yes, you do. You motherfuckers in Milwaukee got to go. You motherfuckers in Texas, Georgia, y'all got to go. The Hawaiians, they get to chill. They could chill a little bit. They get to just live their regular lives. It's okay. And that's just okay. It's just okay that happens. That's just crazy to me.
Understand you're not going to let me fight and have a gun, but I still want to help with this war effort any way I can because this is my home and I want to fight for it. And the Hawaiian governor ends up letting them form this volunteer group. And essentially, they just start doing any manual labor jobs that they can do that's going to help with the war effort. They're stringing out concertina wire. They're digging ditches. They're pouring roads. They're pouring airstrips. They're doing anything and everything that gets asked of them. And this goes on for months. And then by June of 1942, the government's like, okay, I get it. You guys are loyal to America. We're going to go ahead. We're going to bring you back into the army, but you're going to be in a segregated all Japanese unit being led by white officers. You're going to be known as the 100th Infantry Battalion.
100th Infantry Battalion. Again, that's crazy. They just get the bit. They make the rules and then immediately bends them. Like, oh, fuck it. Come on. Let's just bend it and let them. We're going to keep them. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That shit is just crazy to me that they just get to do that and everything's okay. And even though it's fucked up towards the Japanese Americans, it's I don't know. It's just fucked up. I don't know. It's fucked up, but it's not fucked up for the ones in Hawaii. It's just fucked up that the rules don't apply all the way across the board. And I get it. Sometimes it just has to happen that way. It's just a little weird to me that you get to make a rule and then bend it immediately. It's just crazy.
Led by white officers, you're going to be known as the 100th Infantry Battalion. So they take 1,500 of these young Japanese American men that are second-generation Americans, also known as Nisei, and they ship them off to Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, which is completely redundant because all of them had already been in the Hawaiian National Guard and they'd already gone through Army basic training, but that's where they send them to go through it again, and they do it.
Done, drill sergeant?
Little Forrest Gump.
Why did you put that weapon together so quickly, Gump?
You told me to, drill sergeant.
And while they're there, the Nisei continue to prove that they are 1,000% committed to America, despite the fact that America has given them every reason to not be. And they prove it not with just their general dedication to the task, but while they're actually there, the Army secretly sends in psychologists inside of their command structure to evaluate them, to see if they're lying, to see if they're actually dedicated to America. And all of the psychologists are like, yeah, these guys are 100% legit. They mean it when they say they're here to fight for America. On top of that, they go above and beyond when 5 Nisei end up getting awarded the Soldier's Medal because there was some civilians that went out on a frozen lake and the ice shattered and they were going to drown, and these young Nisei went out and saved these civilians. In addition to that, 26 of them volunteered to go be bait for attack dogs when America was trying to train dogs to be able to sniff out Japanese people for the Pacific Theater. They were literally doing anything and everything that was asked of them, regardless of how shitty of a job it was. And somewhere along the way, it becomes clear to the chain of command, like, okay, these guys are legit. We're going to give them guns and we're going to send them off into combat, but we're going to make sure that we send them off into the European theater. We're not going to send them into the Japanese theater for a multitude of reasons. One, if they get caught as Japanese Americans fighting against Japan, the Japanese are going to absolutely torture them to death and it's going to be horrible. So A, we're going to protect them in that fashion, but B, we also don't want Japanese Americans really participating in the Pacific theater in a combat role, because if the American soldiers that aren't Japanese get accustomed to seeing Japanese guys in an American uniform, eventually the Japanese could figure out like, hey, we're going to start taking uniforms off of dead GIs, we're going to dress up as Americans, infiltrate their ranks, and then wreak havoc behind friendly lines.
Just be honest right now. How confident are we that we're going to be able to know who's who? Right? Like, it's going to be the Spider-Man meme. Like.
So at this point, they send him off to Camp Shelby, Mississippi for advanced infantry training, and then FDR announces that he's going to form an even larger...
Hey, that's crazy. Going from Hawaii to Mississippi? Ooh, that is a woof. Hawaii to Mississippi, crazy, bruh. That's crazy.
Shelby, Mississippi for advanced infantry training, and then FDR announces that he's going to form an even larger all-Japanese Nisei regiment, the 442nd. Now, the American government is hoping to get 4,500 volunteers to be in the 442nd Infantry Regiment, which is kind of a big ask from a community of people that you've just taken all of their civil rights away and then thrown them in a prison. And not only do they end up getting 4,500 volunteers, they get over 10,000.
Of course!
Which is absolutely insane, because I'm gonna tell you right now, if you incarcerated my entire family for no other reason than the color of their skin and then asked me to go fight in a world war for you, I would probably tell you to go fuck yourself. So
okay, so I need y'all to help me on this one. It be little things that I be thinking. I'm gonna just say it. He said they asked for volunteers. They end up getting 10,000 volunteers. In my head, since he didn't really say anything, he showed the camps and everything. He says, I'm thinking to myself that maybe some of these volunteers came from the camps as well and not just all Hawaii. He didn't specify that. It kind of leaves it open. But then he says, if you locked my family up in the camp, so now I'm thinking, okay, maybe the volunteers did not come from the camp. So where did the volunteers come from, y'all? That's all I'm asking. Is it the camps and Hawaii? Is it just Hawaii? Is it all over the states? Because by this time, they already took, how much he said? 150,000 Japanese Americans and put them in the camps. So where's the volunteers coming from? I just need clarity on that, y'all. I'm gonna take it back just to make sure I ain't tripping though.
end up getting 4,500 volunteers, they get over 10,000, which is absolutely insane. Not only 100 volunteers to be in the 442nd Infantry Regiment, which is kind of a big ask from a community of people that you've just taken all of their civil rights away and then thrown them in a prison. And not only do they end up getting 4,500 volunteers, they get over 10,000, which is absolutely insane, because I'm gonna tell you right now, if you incarcerated my entire family for no other reason than the color of their skin and then asked me to go fight in a world war for you, I would probably tell you to go fuck yourself. So all 10,000 of these dudes are far bigger men than me. Speaking of bigger men than me, one of the volunteers is a young man by the name of Daniel Inouye, who is currently in med school trying to be a doctor. When Pearl Harbor happened, he ran to the nearest Blue Cross aid station and started working around the clock treating the wounded. And he's been volunteering at aid stations and hospitals for months while also going to med school ever since Pearl Harbor happened. So when he goes to the draft board tells him, like, no, you're too valuable where you're at. You're gonna go off and become a doctor. On top of that, you're already doing a bunch of work for us stateside. We don't want to send you off to combat. So he's like, okay, I'll be right back. He leaves, drops out of med school, tells the hospital he's not coming back to help anymore, and then goes back to the draft board and is like, I just quit my job and I dropped out of med school. Fucking send me. So they end up sending him, and he ships off with the rest of the 442nd Infantry Regiment for basic training 2 days later. While the 400...
Bruh, to be so dedicated. I mean, that's insane, y'all. My boy about to become a doctor and said, no, I want to go fight for my people. Bro, that's crazy, man. That's I just don't. Sheesh, man. God, bro, war is for real, man. War is for real, bro. I don't see how people, I don't see what was in the water back then to make, and granted, that same situation could be happening now in 2025, 2024, 2025. Like, people like, no, I fuck all of this other stuff. I'm going to fight. There's a very particular reason why I think I need to be over there fighting. And I'd rather do that. I'd rather put my life on the line than to be over here safe and pursuing a fucking job. You know what I mean? That shit is crazy to me.
Quit my job and I dropped out of med school. Fucking send me. So they end up sending him, and he ships off with the rest of the 442nd Infantry Regiment for basic training 2 days later. While the 442nd ship off to get their training started, the 100th Infantry Battalion is finishing up their advanced training at Camp Shelby, Mississippi. They are then sent off to North Africa, and they get there in September of 1943. So they land in Oran, which is a major port city in Algeria, and from there they get attached to the 34th Infantry Division, aka the Red Bulls, in particular the 133rd Infantry Regiment, aka the Iron Men, which, cool part, that's my old unit. Not so cool part, the commander is kind of a dickhead because...
I'm gonna take that back, y'all. Hey, question. Excuse the ignorance. They were looking for volunteers. When you volunteer, do you get a paycheck? I see, that's a real question, y'all. I don't know. When you volunteer, do you get a paycheck? When they ask for volunteers, not like they drafted them, it's not like they made them, they didn't force them, they just asked for volunteers. And I know if I graduate high school and I say I want to go to the Army, that I am volunteering to go to the Army, but they're not asking me to do it. That is just me saying I'm going to go to the Army. I spoke to a recruiter, he convinced me, he didn't ask me to join, he just said some shit that I liked and I decided to join. Do you get paid in a situation like this? Let me know.
Africa, and they get there in September of 1943. So they land in Oran, which is a major port city in Algeria, and from there they get attached to the 34th Infantry Division, aka the Red Bulls, in particular the 133rd Infantry Regiment, aka the Iron Men, which, cool part, that's my old unit. Not so cool part, the commander is kind of a dickhead because when he has his greeting speech to the 100th Infantry Battalion, he openly refers to them as the guinea pigs from Pearl Harbor. And not that I'm trying to defend Commander Mark Clark for calling them guinea pigs, I'm absolutely not, but to put it into a little bit of context, a lot of people have a lot of doubts that the Nisei soldiers are going to be effective on the battlefield, okay? The average Nisei soldier at this point in time was between 5'4" and 5'6" and weighed somewhere between 120 and 140 pounds, and they just got attached to the 34th Infantry Division, which is based out of the Midwest, okay? The 34th Infantry Division, by and large today, but especially back then, was almost nothing but 180 185-pound corn-fed white boys with machine guns that grew up on a farm. So they're looking at these dudes with a smaller stature like, what do you guys really think you're going to do on this battlefield? Why are you even here?
Damn.
Look at that. He's making me cry.
If the Nisei want respect, they're going to have to prove themselves. And from the second they step foot in combat, that's exactly what they did, because they started kicking ass right outside of Salerno, Italy, when they first saw combat. For their first week of combat, they drove the Germans back 15 miles per day, every single day. These guys were fearless on the battlefield. In a matter of a couple of months, they had completely changed the opinions of absolutely everybody that encountered them. Mark Clark, the same commander that referred to them as guinea pigs, sent a note up the chain of command saying, hey, when that 442nd Infantry Regiment's done training, I want them too. These Nisei fighters are fucking awesome.
So, these are Japanese grunts in Africa going slap crazy? Is that what's happening right now? We got Japanese grunts, right? Talk to me now. Come on now. Learn me, y'all. Come on. Learn me.
Infantry regiments done training, I want them too. These Nisei fighters are fucking awesome. When the Des Moines Register, the biggest newspaper back home in Iowa, wrote an article being critical of the Nisei being attached to the 34th Infantry Division, the members of the 34th Infantry Division wrote a letter to their editor. And I quote, "We're Iowa boys of the 34th Division. We have fought side by side with the boys of Japanese descent. We know plenty of folks that call themselves Americans that have done much less to prove they give a hang about their country. There have been times when these Japanese, as you call them, have saved many lives only because they have proven themselves better Americans than some that were not of Japanese descent." So not only are the Nisei of the 100th Infantry beating the Nazis, they are also winning over hearts and minds.
Wait a minute, hold on now. Help me on the. So you telling me that the grunts, who was like, man, what the fuck? We talking about corn. We talking about corn fed now. He said it, corn fed white boys. Some big ass fellas, bro. Them boys throw pig skin 5 cornfields. Now you telling me that them boys was looking at them Japanese dudes like, get the fuck out of here. And those Japanese soldiers showed them just how dedicated they were to their country. I'm talking about the U.S. and their freedom. That the grunts, and I'm saying they're grunts because I believe they're grunts. It's infantry, so I'm gonna say it's grunts. We're like, nah, we fucking with them so much that he said the Japanese, what y'all call them, what the fuck else are you supposed to call them? I guess they calling them brothers. Man, I know in the military when you're actually a soldier in combat, there's another language. There's a I don't think soldiers look at soldiers like just like another soldier, like a regular human, or not even like, I don't know the word, but I feel like there's a different language and a different bond that you have when you're actually in the military, in combat. It's just different. I just feel like it's different. I feel like there's a different connection there. And I know y'all tell me that it feels like family, but I think it's a little different than that too. For you're telling me that corn-fed dudes wrote that about Japanese soldiers who were fucking, they're double their size, and they're like, no, they the ones. I just feel like for him to say right here where he says, the Americans, less Japanese is in. We know plenty of boys that call themselves America. There have been times to save my life only because. Damn, where'd it go? Well, shit, I forgot. I guess it ain't there.
So not only are the Nisei.
Hold on, I know I ain't tripping. Hold on.
You call them have saved.
There we go. Have you called them? Okay, there have been times that these Japanese, as you call them. So what are we supposed to call them? What are y'all calling them? What were they calling them? Besides brother. It gotta be brother. It gotta be family. It just has to be, but I think there's just a little more there to that.
Saved many lives only because they have proven themselves better Americans than some that were not of Japanese descent. So not only are the Nisei of the 100th Infantry.
Okay, I get what he's saying. He's saying call them Americans. Y'all call them Japanese. We're going to call them Americans. Okay, I just tripped out on that whole spaz, y'all. My bad.
beating the Nazis, they are also winning over hearts and minds left and right, and they're just getting warmed up. All right, by January of 1944, the 100th and the rest of the Allied forces have advanced through North Africa, and they have come up to the German Gustav Line. The Gustav Line is effectively the line in the sand that Germany has drawn, where they are not going to let the Allied forces advance past this point. It is heavily fortified, they have the high ground, they have all the advantages, and they are going to fight tooth and nail to not let Allied forces penetrate through this line into Europe. And one of the most vital areas of the Gustav Line is where the 100th Infantry is at. It's at Monte Cassino. Cassino is a small town, and then above it, on a humongous hill overlooking the town, is an old monastery that the Germans have turned into a massive fortress. And not only that, they've went and chopped down all the trees on the hills and the ground in front of the monastery, knocked down all the buildings, so there's absolutely nothing to provide cover or concealment in case they assault. So you're pretty much running through an open field uphill into German machine gun fire if you try to take this position. And that's exactly what America is going to do anyways, because it's the only option. And because the 100th Infantry, which I'm now going to refer to by their nickname, the One Puka Puka, because it's easier for me to say, has developed a reputation for being both fearless and willing to take on any challenge, they are selected to lead the first assault on Monte Cassino. January 17th, 1944 at midnight, Alpha and Charlie Company of the One Puka Puka are going to take off, advance up this hill. They fight all the way up this hill and make it to the outer stone walls of this monastery, where they get pinned down and they continue to fight all night long. They're taking heavy casualties, they're running out of ammunition. It is straight up not a good time. They need more ammo. But now it's broad daylight out, so they're gonna have to send in reinforcements. So they send in Bravo Company of the One Puka Puka. But if they go out in broad daylight up this hill with no cover, they're gonna get absolutely mowed down. So they drop a bunch of smoke. Bravo Company starts advancing through the smoke, and then the wind shifts and blows all the smoke away, and they get just utterly destroyed. Of the 187 men of Bravo Company, only 14 of them end up making it to the wall. After taking that many casualties and running out of ammunition and having fought all night already, they are finally ordered to withdraw. A couple of weeks later, the Allied forces launch another major attack on Monte Cassino and the Gustav Line. This time, the One Puka Puka is ordered to take Castle Hill, a neighboring hill to the monastery that's of vital importance to be able to cut off support. The Niihau actually managed to fight their way up the hill and take the top of the hill, and they managed to hold it for 4 straight days, fighting their asses off. But then eventually the flanks of the 34th Infantry end up collapsing, and they're about to get completely surrounded and stuck on top of this hill, at which point they are ordered to withdraw again. By this point, the 100th Infantry Battalion has lost 50% of their men, and they are ordered to the rear, where they can recuperate and pick up reinforcements to replenish their ranks. People start referring to them as the Purple Heart Battalion and the Little Men of Iron, a play on the 133rd Infantry Regiment's Iron Men nickname. After a brief recuperation, they are then sent to a different spot on the Gustav Line near Anzio, and this spot of the line is essentially World War I-esque warfare. Each team has their trench, and there's just no man's land in between. For 2 months straight, all they do is sit inside their trenches and their foxholes. They fight all night and they sleep all day. The One Puka Puka starts referring to it as Dracula days. They sleep during the day, they draw blood at night. While the One Puka Puka is there is a third major attack on Monte Cassino by other Allied forces that also fails. At this point, the chain of command's getting restless, they're pissed, they need to break through the German Gustav Line, and eventually they come to the conclusion, fuck it, we're just gonna pick a point where we're gonna attack, and we're gonna hit that singular point along the line with absolutely everything we've got. The problem is, the Germans have massive tank units in the area too, and they need to know where those tank units are, because if they decide to attack at a singular point, and that's the point where there's a bunch of German tanks, it's not gonna go that great for the Allied forces. So they need to figure this out, otherwise this is gonna be a humongous gamble. At this point, a member of the One Puka Puka steps forward and goes to the chain of command because he's got an idea, and that man is Lieutenant Young Oak Kim. And Young Oak Kim is already a complete badass. He's already earned a Silver Star and a Purple Heart, and he's coming to the chain of command with this crazy idea. But what's most interesting about Young Oak Kim is he's one of the very few people in the One Puka Puka that's not Japanese. And that's because he's an officer, and typically the officers were white men, but in Young Oak Kim's case, he was Korean. Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, the racial tensions between Japanese people and Koreans during World War II was pretty high, considering the Japanese had invaded Korea and were committing atrocities there. Because of this, prior to deploying with the One Puka Puka, the chain of command pulled Young Oak Kim aside, and they were like, hey, we understand that Japan is invading Korea, there's racial tensions between Japanese and Korean people. If you want, we can give you different orders and have you attached to a different unit. To which Young Oak Kim replied, and I quote, "There are no Japanese nor Koreans here. We're Americans and we're fighting for the same cause." So
I had it all wrong. That's exactly what they were saying when he read off the, yeah. So they all look at themselves as Americans. Man, how bad were other countries back then? Was it that bad living there? Was it so bad to live in Korea and Japan that you was like, nah, bro, I'm American. Shit, I'm American. Now, if he was born in America, then I get it. But I wonder if, like, I just wonder, because I don't know. I just wonder what it was like back then, and was it just necessary to get over here to the United States? And then becomes a part of it so much that you like, I'm not Korean, and I'm not Japanese. I'm American. How bad was Korea and Japan? Fill me in, y'all.
There are no Japanese nor Koreans here. We're Americans, and we're fighting for the same cause. So Young Oak Kim is just a complete badass, and he goes to the chain of command and he's like, look, you need somebody to go behind enemy lines and figure out where these tank units are. Here's my plan. You guys keep attacking at night with these major formations. It's obvious. They know we're coming at night. Why don't you send me and one other guy behind enemy lines in broad daylight? I will sneak back there. I will capture a German soldier, drag him back. We can interrogate him and figure out where these tank units are, and then we'll know where to attack.
That's Spider-Man, ain't it? Is this Spider-Man? No. Or is this Superman? Ah, shit. I don't know.
Are you serious?
Okay, now right out of the gate, that's kind of a stupid idea, right? You're really gonna go behind no man's land, capture an enemy soldier, drag him back without getting caught and killed, but the Allied forces are desperate, so they're like, you know what? It might work, and if it works, it's not that stupid. They give him the green light, and he sets off to do it. May 16th, Lieutenant Kim and PFC Irving Akahoshi crawl through no man's land through an open wheat field in broad daylight, crawl all the way behind enemy lines where they find a German unit that had been up all night manning their machine guns. They then stalk them further behind enemy lines and watch them as they eat dinner, breakfast, whatever they're eating at this point in time. Watch them eat and then fall asleep. And then when two dudes go,
listen to this shit. No, Nick. You don't just get the brush. Broad daylight through a wheat field. Not only did they make it to the enemy line, they made it behind that motherfucker and then inside of that motherfucker. You know, in my mind, I be thinking, like, I'm a human. You think all day. Just think about this, y'all. There's never a moment in your life when you're not thinking, unless you're one of those meditation guys and know how to cut your brain off. I ain't figured that out yet. What are you thinking when you're crawling through the wheatgrass in broad daylight? What are you thinking? I know you're thinking, please don't shoot me, please don't shoot me, please don't shoot me, please don't shoot me, please don't see me, please don't see me. But eventually you stop thinking that. So then what? Then what are you thinking? Then you finally get to the wall. What are you thinking there? Then you go in behind enemy lines. What are you thinking there? You're watching them eat. Are you thinking, fuck, that look good. I'm so damn hungry. I wonder if that crossed any of those two guys' minds while watching them eat. Like, damn, we've been crawling all day. I'm hungry too, man. Like, what the fuck are you thinking doing this? To be inside of somebody's mind in these moments. You know how they say to be a fly on the wall in that room or whatever the hell, however the hell the saying go. Just make me one of the squiggly things on the brain, slap me in there, because I got to know what the hell going on. I got to know. God, that is, to be that fearless, to come up with the idea. It's one thing to come up with the idea, because a paper pusher can come up with the idea. It's another thing to come up with the idea and say, I need to be the one to do it, guys. Yeah, send me in that motherfucker. I want to go. Crazy.
A German unit that had been up all night manning their machine guns. They then stalk them further behind enemy lines and watch them as they eat dinner, breakfast, whatever they're eating at this point in time. Watch them eat and then fall asleep. And then when two dudes go to, be the guards, they stalk them and then they end up sitting there and waiting till they fall asleep, and they wake them up by shoving their guns in their mouths so they can't scream. Kim and Akahoshi then take their 2 German prisoners, smuggle them back through no man's land, behind friendly lines, turn the prisoners over, they get interrogated, they gather the intel as to where the German tank units are, and define the battle plans for the entire Allied advance. 48 hours later, after setting off on his mission, the Allied forces launch their attack and Monte Cassino falls on May 18th. Lieutenant Young Ok Kim is then awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, the 2nd highest award in the American military. And as he's getting that pinned on his chest, Commander Mark Clark looks down and sees his 1st lieutenant rank, and then points over to a captain nearby and is like, "You, Mayor." Captain approaches, he rips the captain rank off of this guy and pins Lieutenant Young Ok Kim as a captain as well. Cutting back to the rest of the 1 Puka Puka over at Anzio, they also coordinated the attack with the 4th Battle of Monte Cassino, so that if Monte Cassino fell,
that's it.
Captain approaches, he rips the captain rank off of this guy and pins Lieutenant Young Ok Kim as a captain as well. Cutting back to the rest of the 1 Puka Puka over at Anzio, they also coordinated the attack with the 4th Battle of Monte Cassino, so that if Monte Cassino fell, they were also going to launch their offensive, hopefully driving the Germans back, so that they broke the Gustav line in 2 locations. That way, they could advance forward and in and either crush the Germans in the middle, or the Germans would be forced to retreat. And that's exactly what ended up happening, and not only that, the 1 Puka Puka was the lead element of the Anzio breakout. So now the Allied forces are chasing the Germans as they advance towards Rome, and the 1 Puka Puka is out front. And as they get near Rome, they're like 15 miles outside of Rome. They are going to be the first Americans to set foot in a major European capital as the Allied forces capture it. They are ordered to stand down as they peel off the side of the road and just kind of hang out in the ditch, and they don't know what's going on. And then other American units start catching up, and then they keep marching, and they keep marching into Rome. And now the 1 Puka Puka is not the first into Rome, and it dawns on them, they pulled us off to the side because they didn't want a bunch of Japanese dudes being the first Americans to capture a major European capital. They never even got to set foot in Rome. They were ordered to go link up with the new Niihau unit, the 442nd Infantry Regiment, and they would be absorbed into that unit now instead.
And you see, it's always something, man. You always telling us something amazing, and then you just drop a bomb on it. So not only have these guys proven that they are Americans, fellow Americans. Hey, no Korean, no Japanese here, dog. We all Americans. And it seems like the military has accepted that. They're even looking at them as military, but maybe the higher ranks are like, I don't know, dog. I'm gonna say it's the paper pushers who made that call. Like, I feel like the American soldiers who was marching behind them to catch up, I feel like they're like, well, why the fuck they ain't just let them go? They American, you know what I mean? Like, just let them go. But it's politics, it's political. Maybe the paper pushers are thinking about the future and history and how that's gonna sound and how that's gonna read and how that's gonna look, and will the Japanese be able to claim this? And I get that. I get that too. Don't like it, but I see both sides. If that's the case, am I tripping, y'all? Maybe I am. I don't know. I know y'all gonna let me know.
Unit, the 442nd Infantry Regiment, and they would be absorbed into that unit now. A major pulled us off to the side because they didn't want a bunch of Japanese dudes being the first Americans to capture a major European capital. They never even got to set foot in Rome. They were ordered to go link up with the new Niihau unit, the 442nd Infantry Regiment, and they would be absorbed into that unit now instead. From here, the 1 Puka Puka still kind of retained its identity as the 100th Infantry Battalion, but they are just now one of 3 battalions inside of the 442nd Infantry Regiment. And their new unit slogan is one of the best and most famous slogans in military history: Go for broke, which is a Hawaiian slang term that basically means I'm going all in. I'm pushing all my chips into the table, because that's exactly how these guys felt. They're all in this shitty situation where their former homeland is attacking them and their new home seemingly doesn't want them. So they're picking their side and they're going all in. From here, the 442nd is ordered to head north and take over a town called Suvareto, and this is going to be the first major military operation that they get to conduct by themselves. This is the ultimate point that they get to prove themselves, where they can say, we did that alone and nobody else helped. And they do it with surgical precision. They end up taking the 2nd and 3rd battalions of the 442nd Infantry Regiment, and they attack the front of the town, and then they send the 1st Battalion, the 1 Puka Puka, around the backside to flank their retreat. Now, 2nd and 3rd Battalion, this is the first time they've seen combat. These guys are green. They just got out of training. So the Germans actually end up launching a semi-successful counterattack, but the 1 Puka Puka, 1st Battalion, sees it happening, and they instantly, without orders, adjust, go through, and they flank the Germans from the side, completely crushing them and taking over the entire town. From here, the 34th Infantry Division continues to advance deeper into Europe, and the 442nd alongside them is credited with over 1,100 confirmed kills and capturing 331 German prisoners of war. They then come up on another German defensive line where the Germans have dug themselves in, called Hill 40, which they end up nicknaming Little Cassino because of how hard the Germans resisted, and the town of Castanella. 442nd leads the assault on Little Cassino because, like it or not, they are now pretty much America's premier fighting force when the situation is running uphill into enemy gunfire and winning anyways. They battle the Germans for 3 days straight and end up taking Hill 140, aka Little Cassino, which is ironic because their entire motto is about gambling big and going for broke, and every single time they manage to win.
Oh, that's hard.
From here, the 442nd goes on R&R.
Going for broke, gambling, playing big. I see what you did there, Nick. I see what you did there. Little Casino, the big casino. I'm picking up what you're putting down, dog.
Big and going for broke, and every single time they manage to win.
Oh no! I'm ruined!
From here, the 442nd goes on R&R for a little while. Then they get called back in. They are going to go into France, and they are getting detached from the 34th Infantry Division, and they are getting reattached to the 36th Infantry Division out of Texas. They travel 500 miles by foot and rail into France. They link up with the Texans, and they go back into battle. Now, combat from here, the terrain's completely different. They're in the Vosges Mountains. This combat is brutal. They're in heavily wooded forests, and every time they have to take a hill with Germans on top of it, the Germans retreat, run down the hill, run right up another hill, and then they have to fight up the high ground again. It's absolutely miserable. And the first thing they need to do is they need to take over a town called Broyers, and in order to do that, they have to take over all the hills surrounding the town. There's 4 big ones, A, B, C, and D. The 442nd is in charge of taking over all the hills, while the rest of the 36th Infantry goes in and takes over the town. 442nd goes to work, they do their thing, they run uphill into German machine gun fire, take the hills anyways on A, B, and C. But on D, the Germans are putting up a hell of a fight. This battle goes on for hours. It's just a seesaw battle of they drive up the hill, they get driven back down, they drive up, they get driven back down. It is yard by yard brutal combat. They're taking heavy casualties. There's finally a lull in the battle. There's not a wave going up. And normally, all the combat they've been experienced to at this time, the Germans have been pretty respectful of the rules of war, right? When you're not launching an attack, you send out the medics go out there, they pick up the casualties, they pick up the dead, they bring them back, they get everybody taken care of. You extend the enemy the same courtesy. That's usually how it's gone at this point. But now the Germans are getting desperate because D-Day has already happened. Shit is hitting the fan, and they are no longer playing by the rules. The 442nd doesn't know that, so they send the medics out. The medics go, they lay out the litter, they grab a guy that's been shot, still alive, probably gonna survive. His name's Abe Ohama. They get him on the litter and they start carrying him back, and then the Germans open up on the medics and the wounded with machine gun fire.
They opened up on dock. They opened up on multiple docks. What is Nick about to say happened? What is he about to say, y'all? I'm building this anticipation for my damn self. So they break the rules of war. They break the understanding. They shooting at the docks and the wounded who's being saved by the docks. I gotta see where this goes. I don't know. It has to apply to the Japanese soldiers too, bruh. The whole dock, don't fuck with dock. That it has to apply. It's the U.S. military. It applies in all the branches. Oh
carrying them back, and then the Germans open up on the medics and the wounded with machine gun fire. Abe Ohama, while he was on the litter, was struck again and immediately killed. Seeing this, the rest of the 442nd, unprompted, without orders, pissed off, gets on their feet and charges the hill while screaming, takes the entire hill, killing 50 Germans and capturing another 7 as POWs.
Don't fuck with Doc. Don't touch Doc. You jackass. You know that. You know you don't touch Doc. We're not allowed to touch your Doc. You're not allowed to touch our Doc. I don't give a fuck if it's Doc 1 or Doc squared. Don't touch him, bruh. And you touched him. And now here we go up a hill that we've been fighting to get up this whole time. And because you touched Doc, all of a sudden we not struggling to get up that bitch no more. Now we know exactly how to get up there and kill all y'all motherfuckers. Oh, man. That went exactly how I thought it was when I paused it to talk y'all ear off just a second ago about what he was about to say. It went exactly how I thought it would. Oh, that feels so good. It feels so good when, and like you want the brutality too. It's like, it's not like you just want him to say they went up there and you want him, boy, we went up there, they went to work and brought home POWs. Like you want, that's what I wanted him to say. I didn't want him to say, they got mad, ran up the hill and won. No, Nick. Give me, put a little more seasoning on it.
Pissed off, gets on their feet charges the hill while screaming, takes the entire hill, killing 50 Germans and capturing another 7 as POWs.
Come on,
the 442nd has just conducted what is very reminiscent of a Japanese bonsai charge. And it's practice that they're going to need for later. From here, the rest of the 36th Infantry goes in, they take over Bruyères, and the 442nd renames Hill D Ohama's Hill.
The Lost Battalion.
At this point, the
Hold on. I gotta go back.
Ohama's Hill.
I gotta read this. The Lost Battalion. I will never leave a fallen comrade. The Soldier's Creed. Bro, that's so hard. This shit real. Like these guys in the picture. Look at the guys in the picture. They live by that. Fuck. And I know we all think we live like if our house caught on. Like if something, let me not say my house. If somebody's house caught on fire, you would think that they're thinking, I'm not going to leave nobody behind. I'm going to go in and I'm going to get whatever I need to get. But just imagine the fires, the smoke is too heavy. You can't inhale it. You can go in that house, you can try, but eventually you'll run out. Just for your own, just like, fuck, because I can't save them if I'm not. These guys are like, we don't give a, look at what they just did. Open fire up a hill. Up a hill that realistically just going by what Nick was saying, it's not, I don't know if they were winning at this moment. I don't know if they were winning. They were taking on heavy gunfire, a lot of casualties on our end. They got the high ground. Like they ran into the smoke and said, fuck my lungs. Fuck my smoke. I mean, fuck the smoke, not my smoke. To hell with the smoke. I'm not leaving here until we do what we got to do and save who we got to save. That's just, man, that's crazy. And then they just got to go back home and watch TV. Huh? What we eating for dinner, babe? We eating some sloppy joes, huh? Okay. Some Chick-fil-A? You eating some Chick-fil-A? Okay. That's what they got. This is it never ceases to amaze me, man. These stories are so good. Damn.
Bruyères and the 442nd renames Hill D Ohama's Hill.
The soldier.
At this point, the 442nd's been fighting nonstop for weeks on end, so they're finally sent back to the rear for R&R. And the second they get there, it's like 2 a.m. in the morning. They immediately get told There's an emergency. They got to turn back around and head back to the front line. The commander of the 36th Infantry, General Dahlquist, somehow got placed in charge of an entire infantry division and had never actually been in combat. In addition to that, men that served underneath him said he seemed to care more about being the first unit into Germany than he did about actually taking care of his guys and keeping them alive. These factors would culminate and come to a head on October 24th, 1944, when he would order the 1st Battalion of the 141st Infantry Regiment to overextend into German lines, and they would then be engulfed and completely surrounded by an entire German division. To put that into perspective, if you don't know military unit sizes, that's about 300 men surrounded by about 6,000. So while the 442nd is making their way back to the front lines, General Dahlquist orders the 1st and 2nd Battalion of the 141st Infantry to go in and save their buddies. They go, they try fighting, they end up getting pushed back. And here's the kicker. The Germans just think that the Americans are trying to break through the line. They don't know that the Americans are freaking out because there's an entire battalion surrounded. They have no idea that 1st Battalion is up above them on a ridge. But from the American perspective, they think obviously the Germans know that. So they're like, oh shit, we can't punch through the line to go save them. We better start airdropping in ammunition, food, and water so they can stay up on that ridge and fight as long as possible. So they go and try to airdrop a bunch of supplies to them. The airdrop gets caught by the wind and goes off course. And then the Germans are like, wait a minute, why the fuck are the Americans airdropping supplies to us? Oh shit, we have an entire battalion surrounded.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
So now they started talking to Lost Battalion 2. The 442nd makes it to the front line on October 28th. Now, in hindsight, some of the Niihau feel they were sent in particular because they were deemed expendable, and if they all died, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. However, a lot of the other Niihau like to believe they were sent in because they were the best. So the 442nd goes in, and it is absolutely brutal. The Germans have minefields all over the fucking place. They have fortified machine gun positions. So the Lost Battalion's up here. The 442nd has to approach from here. There's the German line in between, and then off to the side is Hill 617 that also has a bunch of Germans on it, overlooking the approach to the German line. So they're just getting machine gun fire and mortars rained down on them from absolutely everywhere. For the first 2 days, the 442nd advances like a couple hundred yards. Every time they peek out from behind a tree or stick their head up out of a foxhole, anytime they leave cover, they're getting shot at. They can't move. They're completely pinned down. After 2 days of being essentially paralyzed on the battlefield, the 442nd, the Niihau decide they're going to live up to their motto, go for broke. They're just going to fucking send it. Here's the plan. They've got 3 battalions. They're going to send one of them up to Hill 617. They're going to take that hill, wipe the Germans off the top of it. Then they're going to come back down the hill, rejoin the other 2 battalions, and then they're going to launch a full-on assault and penetrate the German line and save the Texans. 3rd Battalion gets the order. They're going to launch their attack on Hill 617 first, at which point the 3rd Battalion commander grabs his Colt 45 pistol and says, okay, boys, let's go. Nobody moves. Nobody wants to get out of their foxhole or poke their head out from behind their tree. If they get up, they're going to get shot. This is absolutely crazy. After that, a couple of moments go by, probably the longest couple of moments in human history. It's just dead quiet. Nobody wants to move. And eventually, 2nd Lieutenant Edward Davis, the last officer in his company, stands up and gets on his feet as all the other Niihau are looking at him like he's crazy. And he turns to his highest ranking NCO, Sergeant Kohashi, and asks him, doesn't order him, he asks him, will you go with me? Sergeant Kohashi leaps up onto his feet, screams a battle cry, and starts running up the hill. And all of the other Niihau do the exact same thing as they have a full frontal assault up this hill. Some of the men even sarcastically screamed "Banzai," both making fun of the Japanese that do this and making fun of the situation as a whole, literally being a smartass in the face of death. They take heavy casualties, but within an hour, they've cleared all the Germans off the top of Hill 617. They then split up that battalion and send some of the companies back down to rejoin the other 2 battalions as they begin their assault towards the German line. And those companies that come down from the hill bring the same energy with them, and they launch another banzai charge straight at the German line. Worth noting, one of the men that was in this charge was Daniel Inouye. Remember the kid we talked about earlier that dropped out of med school to go be part of the 442nd? He is in this charge going in to rescue the Lost Battalion, and as he's charging towards the German line, he gets shot in the chest. But he carries $2 silver in his front breast pocket for good luck, and they literally deflect the bullet and save his life. The 442nd then
just so we're clear. So what I've learned from watching Nick videos and the videos that you guys have just sending me on the side, like the weapons videos, the aircraft videos. What I have now learned are that Hollywood writers are not that creative. If anything, what they have to do is they have to try to decreativicize reality. They have to take the creativity of reality that has actually happened and find a way to make it not so creative. So that the person like me watching it would look at the movie and be like, that's bullshit. That could never happen. No, Nolo, you dumbass. It can happen. It actually did happen. And actually, this is what actually happened. What you saw in the movie was just was us making it a little more realistic. This man, Germans have the high ground, y'all. We know what that means. You're telling me that these soldiers are saying, fuck y'all high ground. Our only option is to charge full steam ahead, go for broke, and pray to God we make it up there. And they're actually doing it multiple times. You cannot, if you tell me from what, yesterday if you asked me, if the Germans have the high ground with tons of soldiers and a fortress and all of that, and it's like 600 U.S. soldiers, who's going to win? I'm going to tell you the Germans every time, because from my teachings, from starting this channel, the high ground, you just can't, because when the U.S. got the high ground, that ain't no easy feat. I'm not saying this was, but I'm just saying, if you were to ask me, I will always bet on the high ground. This man, Nick, in this video alone, has told me that the high ground has lost 3 times already, I believe. I believe it's 3 times they already lost. Shit, I don't know. Like, is this why he said it was one of his favorite stories? Because it's going against everything. It's going against the bill that the damn president passed. Everybody else in the camps, but for some reason these guys aren't. Okay, cool. No, you can't serve in the military. You can volunteer. They volunteer so damn good that they say, well, damn, maybe you can be back in the military. Let you back in. Now they're telling you that you're guinea pigs. We let you back in, but you're guinea pigs. We need you to go up this hill because we need to see how this high ground shit work with the Germans in this area. They do it multiple times. That goes against everything you guys have taught me during this journey so far. What the fuck? What's happening right now? I don't know, bruh. I don't know, y'all. You got, what is it? NCO, he said, stands up, asked, not gave an order. He asked him, bro, just come with me, bro. I'm tired of this shit. Come on, you gonna come with me? And then everybody like, well, shit, they going, we might as well go. And then they make fun of the situation. They make fun. They yelling out bonsai because it's a bonsai charge, like the old samurais back in the day. What the fuck, bro? This is magic. This is magic. This is sorcery going on here.
But he carries $2 silver in his front breast pocket for good luck, and they literally deflect the bullet and save his life. The 442nd then proceeds to fight and break through the German line, and what happens next is probably one of the coolest moments in human history. Cutting back to the Lost Battalion, they've been surrounded and fighting for their lives for the past 5 days. They're starving, they're dehydrated, they're low on ammunition, and there's this 19-year-old Texan kid in his defensive perimeter with his gun pointed outward, just waiting for the Germans to come and get him. There's fog, there's smoke, he can't see shit, and off in the distance he sees a silhouette approaching, and it's getting closer and it's getting closer, but the silhouette's not shooting at him, so he doesn't shoot at them. And as it gets closer, he can start to see the person through the smoke, and it's a Japanese guy in an American uniform, Private First Class Matt Sakamoto. And as he gets closer, he stops, and Matt Sakamoto and this young Texan kid are looking at each other, and this Texas kid's lip starts quivering and he starts tearing up. He's just had his life saved by this Nisei soldier. And then Matt Sakamoto, in the coolest thing ever, just reaches in his pocket and pulls out a package of Lucky Strike cigarettes, one for himself, and goes, "You want to smoke?" And a couple seconds after that, the rest of the Nisei come walking through the smoke, and they've rescued the Lost Battalion. 64 men of the Lost Battalion were killed in combat. 211 of them were saved by the 442nd. To save those men, the 442nd sustained 800 casualties, 120 dead, and 680 wounded. And it is at this point that a rational person that's maybe never served in the military would ask, is that even worth it? Should they have went in there to—
Oh my God, I was just about to pause it and say, so you telling me they sacrificed this many amount of men only to save this much? And then I said, Nolo, you've been what? It's so crazy how much goes through your— Have y'all ever been in a life and death situation? I think I said this before. I have a couple of times. So much goes through your head in less than a second. In less than a second. So all of that was going through my head. I was like, damn, they sacrificed. And then I said, Nolo, don't you pause that fucking video. I'm thinking all of this in that split second. Don't pause the video, bro. Yes, you know that they will sacrifice that much. And yes, we do know there are instances where they will not take the sacrifice. But I know of too many instances where they will take the sacrifice. So I didn't ask. But I like that Nick stopped and said, okay, Nolo, I know what you're thinking. Is it worth it? Now let's see what he says.
A person that's maybe never served in the military would ask, is that even worth it? Should they have went in there to rescue them if it costs that much? And the answer is unequivocally yes. And it's not because the Nisei were expendable or that they were worth less than the Texans. It's because nobody's expendable. When you join the United States Army, when you become a soldier, they make you say the Soldier's Creed over and over and over again ad nauseum. And in the Soldier's Creed, it says, I will always place the mission first. I will never accept defeat. I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade. And those aren't just words that they make you say because they sound good. No, it's a promise to the person to the left and the right of you that no matter how bad shit gets, we're going to come to get you because you're one of us. You're not just some number on a spreadsheet.
Okay, I did not know the creed. Oh my God, it's all making sense now. It's all making sense why the cover up and all of that happened and the filthy things that the U.S. government did when I watched the first Medal of Honor recorded and the men left them, and you guys went on to explain to me how the men left them on purpose. They knew he was out there and they left him for dead, and they tried to cover it up. Oh my God, y'all motherfuckers learning me something. Hey, I had a teacher comment on the video. It was like, bro, it's not learn me something, it's teach me something. Like, what the fuck? You think we don't know that? The fuck? Who don't know that learn me something is a saying that we say down here? I don't fucking know. Moving on. Amazing. Amazing.
Words that they make you say because they sound good. No, it's a promise to the person to the left and the right of you that no matter how bad shit gets, we're going to come to get you because you're one of us. You're not just some number on a spreadsheet that we can plug into a mathematical calculation and determine if you're worth saving or not. No, you're an American soldier and we're coming to fucking get you.
You're goddamn right.
And there's never been a better embodiment of this principle than the 442nd rescuing the Lost Battalion. Because not only did they live up to the ideal of you're one of us, we're coming to get you no matter what, they also, in doing so, proved that they are one of them. The Nisei, the outsiders, the Japanese that nobody can trust, proved irrefutably that they're not Japanese, they're not outsiders, they're just Americans. They're one of us.
Single-handed.
Okay, now, finally, after getting pulled off of R&R almost immediately to go save the day and rescue the Lost Battalion, they are then finally sent to southern France where they can actually have some R&R. And from November till March, they're on a security detail that's relatively low impact. They get to rest, recuperate, they get their ranks replenished, and this is referred to as the Champagne Campaign. Then in April of 1945, the Allied forces finally make it to the German—
That's crazy. That's something that we say in hip-hop culture a lot. Champagne Campaign, like rappers that say it. We're just saying it just sound good. We never know the origin of these things. I wonder if this was the origin. He said that's what it came to be known at. What is that? What he said? Hold on.
Relatively low impact. They get to rest, recuperate, they get their ranks replenished, and this is referred to as the.
Okay, it's just referred to. So I wonder if this is where that saying originated. And then I don't know how we got hold of it, but we did. Shit.
Campaign. Then in April of 1945, the Allied forces finally make it to the German Gothic Line, their last ditch effort of defenses inside of Italy. It is heavily fortified, and like everything else the Germans made, it's believed to be impenetrable.
That's actually hilarious.
So the Allied forces called up the A-Team. They bring in the 442nd. Nothing has fucking stopped these guys yet. This probably isn't going to stop them either. And because they're the best guys, they're going to get the toughest mission. They are assigned to attack one of the mountain strong points of the entire Gothic line. Literally, the most impenetrable part, that's where the 442nd is going to attack. Now, the reason the chain of command did this is they wanted to use the 442nd as a diversionary attack, right? They're going to have the 442nd attack this super strong point. That way, the Germans are going to send all of their reinforcement troops to this strong point to hold that point, right? And then once all the reserve troops are there fighting the 442nd, because these guys aren't going to give up, and hell, they might win anyways, they're going to be able to attack a weaker part in the Gothic line and punch through. However, nobody told the 442nd that, so the 442nd treats it not as a diversionary attack, but as a main attack, and they punch through the strongest point with reinforcements anyways in a single day.
You planned. It worked.
And during that attack on April 1st, 1945, the main character that's been there all along would finally emerge. Daniel Inouye, the 18-year-old kid that dropped out of medical school and put his dreams of becoming a surgeon on hold to go off and fight for his country. Daniel Inouye, the guy that helped save the Lost Battalion and had his life saved by $2 silver when he was shot in the chest, had ended up getting promoted in the field to a lieutenant and was now leading an entire platoon. During the attack on the Gothic line, Daniel Inouye's platoon gets pinned down by 3 German machine gun nests with MG-42s, the most terrifying machine gun of World War II. With his entire company pinned down, Daniel decides that he's going to live up to the unit motto of go for broke, and he's going to do some gangster shit. Advancing by himself, he gets shot in the stomach, fights through it, gets to the German machine gun nest, hits it with a grenade, blows it up, immediately shifts to go to the next German machine gun nest, makes it all the way there, throws another grenade in that one, takes out the Germans there as well. He then crawls up to the 3rd German machine gun nest, gets...
Where have I heard this story before? Where have I heard this story before, bruh? Who was it that was going from machine gun nest to machine gun nest blowing it up? Who was it? He was by himself. It wasn't him? Come on, y'all. It's not the first time I heard this. It's not the first time I heard this. Fuck. I cannot remember this right now.
Takes out the Germans there as well. He then crawls up to the 3rd German machine gun nest, gets within 10 yards, grabs his grenade, pulls the pin. He's just holding down the spoon, winds back to throw it, and the German inside the nest shoots him with an anti-personnel grenade that hits him directly in the elbow. He was so close that the grenade didn't have time to arm itself, and it is just the blunt force trauma of a massive grenade flying at him that severs the majority of his arm. His men immediately leap up to help him, but he screams at them to stay under cover because he's worried that that arm that he's not in control of anymore is going to relax and let go of the spoon on that grenade and kill him and even more of his men, so he orders them to stay back. In his own words, and I quote, "I looked at my right hand and it was gone."
This motherfucker's still alive. For him to write this, that means he made it. Okay.
Stay back. In his own words, and I quote, "I looked at my right hand and it was gone. The grenade was still there, clenched in a fist that suddenly wasn't a part of me anymore. I pried it out with my left hand and threw it." That grenade hits its target, and Daniel Inouye has just taken out a 3rd German machine gun nest, both left-handed and single-handedly, literally. He then gets to his feet and continues.
Lying to me, Nick. You lying to me. Oh my God. Yo, these are the best stories I have ever heard, y'all. Y'all, I know y'all don't know me like in real life, and I know, you know, this is how I am. I'm really into stories, y'all. I don't care how big the story is. I don't care how small. If you could take a small story and make it 2 hours long, I will sit there and I will make it 4 hours long by making sure that I ask every single question. Y'all, I've heard so many stories. I have told so many stories in my life. These are hands down some of the best stories I have ever heard in my life. Ever heard in my life. God.
Target, and Daniel Inouye has just taken out a third German through it. That grenade hits its target anymore.
I looked at my right hand and it was gone. That motherfucker right there. The grenade was still clenched in a fist. My fist that is no longer attached to my arm. I'm looking at my body part separated from me with a grenade in it. The grenade was still there, clenched in a fist that suddenly wasn't a part of me anymore. I pried it out with my left hand. Do you know what that means? That means that with one hand, he had to bend his fingers back, but also probably use his palm to keep the trigger. I forget what he called it. The trigger on the grenade down, so that the grenade wouldn't blow up. He does it, and just think about how fast he does this. He does it with his left hand and throws the grenade left-handed into the machine gun dig out. Man, come on, man. This shit, come on, man. It's just amazing, man.
I pried it out with my left hand and threw it. That grenade hits its target, and Daniel Inouye has just taken out a third German machine gun nest. Both left-handed and single-handedly. Literally. He then gets to his feet and continues advancing on the German position, killing at least one more German with his Thompson submachine gun before getting shot in the leg and collapsing to the ground unconscious. He then wakes back up flat on his back, looking up at his men who are looking down at him, and he hits them with the hardest line in military history, and I quote, "Nobody called off the war," literally telling his dudes, quit worrying about me and assault the fucking objective. And as if that wasn't gangster enough, Daniel Inouye is then rushed to the rear where he receives emergency medical treatment and has to get his arm amputated in the field completely sober. He had already received too much morphine in the field, they couldn't give him any more without killing him, and they don't have anesthesia on the front lines in World War II, so they just had to cut it off while he was awake. While that's going on, Inouye's men and the rest of the 442nd go on a German ass-kicking extravaganza. Over the course of the next week, they liberate like 5 towns, a concentration camp, they secure key roads, they cut off German supply lines, they're forcing Germans to surrender left and right. The 442nd is advancing so fast that American supply lines can't even keep up, and they're forced to operate on whatever they confiscate from the Germans that they kill or surrender to them. Then on May 2nd, 1945, the German forces inside of Italy surrender. 5 days after that, May 7th, 1945, all of Germany surrenders, and World War II for the 442nd is over. When all was said and done, approximately 18,000 men fought in the 442nd Infantry Regiment. And those 18,000 men were awarded more than 18,000 medals, making them the most decorated unit in U.S. military history for their size and tenure. A few of those medals include 8 Presidential Unit Citations, which is like the Medal of Honor for a military unit, and they earned 5 of them in a single month. 21 Medals of Honor, 29 Distinguished Service Crosses, somewhere between 360 and 600 Silver Stars, 4,000 Bronze Stars, and 9,486 Purple Hearts. And that is the story of the Niihau, the Americans that made up the 442nd Infantry Regiment that had every excuse in the world to hate America and chose to love and fight for it anyways. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com.
Come on, it gotta be
Quack
more,
bang.
Nick. Come on, Nick.
You fought not only the enemy, but you fought prejudice, and you've won. Keep up that fight, and we'll continue to win. To make this great republic stand for just what its Constitution says it stands for, the welfare of all the people, all the time.
Am I tripping? Or is that not a president taking accountability for being prejudiced? That man said, listen, just listen, tell me if I'm tripping now.
.com, quack bang.
Listen.
Out.
You fought not only the enemy, but you fought prejudice.
Is that Truman saying, we fucked up? We know we fucked up. We're taking accountability for that. Is that what that is? Because what prejudice could he be talking about? It can only be the prejudice coming from Americans. Oh my God. This shit, it just gets better. The fucking president is saying we fucked up. I'm reading that as the president saying we fucked up. Talk to me, y'all. Am I tripping? Am I tripping? I know it's some hardcore Americans that's like, nah, we don't never fuck up. It sounds like you're saying we fucked up.
And you've won. Keep up that fight, and we'll continue to win. To make this great republic stand for just what its Constitution says it stands for, the welfare of all the people, all the time.
I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, Daniel Inouye, the main character. Yeah, so he made a full recovery. He survived World War II. Not only that, he goes back home, and you can't exactly be a surgeon with one hand. So Daniel Inouye gets involved in politics, graduates college, ends up becoming one of the government representatives for the United States territory of Hawaii. He is then instrumental in Hawaii becoming a state, and once Hawaii becomes a state, he then becomes Hawaii's state senator until he passes away in 2012. Now, I realize that I've just glorified a politician, and that's inevitably going to rub somebody the wrong way for some reason, and to be honest, I've intentionally avoided looking at his political career while researching for this video. I genuinely have no idea right now whether that man was a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, something in between. I have no idea. But here's what I do know. Regardless of what his politics were, I have the utmost confidence that that's the type of dude that I want in a leadership position, because at the end of the day, I have absolute confidence that he wants what's best for the country and not what's best for his party, which is extremely hard to find in a politician. So yeah, thanks for watching. I really hope I did that story justice. See you later.
On the day I left to put on the uniform, and so he accompanied me on the streetcar, sitting side by side, and both of us looking straight ahead, and nothing is said until we get close to the destination. When we know that the streetcar is going to stop, he clears his throat and he says, "This country has been good to us. It has given me jobs. It has made it possible for you to go to school. We have lived a good life. We owe a lot to the country. Therefore, if you must give your life, so be it. But whatever you do not dishonor the family, do not dishonor the country." It appears that this was an important part of the Nisei's, as you put it, value system, because I recall very vividly the night before we began our first attack. So that following morning, I sat down and said, "By the way, what were you people thinking about last night? I'm just curious." After a while,
even he wants to know what people are thinking, and he the main character. Okay, so maybe I'm not tripping trying to figure out what's going through your head when this is happening. Because if the main character is doing it, then...
what were you people thinking about last night? I'm just curious. After a while, one of them popped up and he said, "I was praying that I don't be a coward." And the next one said, "Yeah, I was thinking about the same thing." Everyone said the same thing in different ways. Do not dishonor the family. Right? So here, these are the men who work in the plantations, who work in the fields, men who volunteered from the camps, because they were mixed.
Oh, he answered my question. The volunteers were from the camp as well. Thank you for that, bro.
In the fields, men who volunteered from the camps, because they were a mixture of Kotonks and us. And every one of them, whether they were in Montana, Wyoming, or Arizona, or Honolulu, came out with the same thing.
Oh my God, what the fuck? The only thing those men were worried about was making sure that they weren't scared. Making sure that they had enough courage to push forward. Not, I wonder if I'm ever going to make it home. I wonder if I'm going to die. It's just straight up, I need to stand up and go. That's all. I'm praying that nothing stops me from charging forward. That's it. That's it. Oh my God. What a story. I have nothing else to say because I will sit here and talk y'all head off. My wife is sitting in this living room and she hear me carrying on back here. I'm about to go out there and be like, babe, I always do. I'm like, babe, I just watched this fucking video. Oh my God, this story is crazy. And then I give her a very short briefing of what this is about that doesn't even capture it. But then I always close with a big, but bruh, guess what? Buddy's hand got blown off. He grabbed the grenade with the left hand, but the grenade was still in the right hand that got blown off. He grabbed it with the left hand, pried it out of his right hand, made sure that the trigger was still down, grabbed that bitch and threw it left-handed. The boy ambidextrous. The boy blowing shit up right and left-handed. He triambidextrous. He triambidextrous. He was throwing it with his right hand, had to throw it with his left hand, then had to throw it with his only fucking hand. The motherfucker tribidextrous. He tribidextrous, whatever the fuck it is. I'm out of here, y'all. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm out of here because I'll sit here and do this shit all day with y'all. I'm out. Bye.